Good morning, everyone. I know it's not quite the top of the hour, so we'll wait a minute or two before we start to give a chance for people to join the meeting. Thank you for being here today. Welcome, everyone, to this webinar titled Using Music First with Performance Ensembles. This session is about using music first to make rehearsal time more efficient and student practice more accountable. I'm Giovanna Cruz, Head of Professional Development at MusicFirst. I am a cellist and former orchestra director in the Austin Independent School District in Austin, Texas. I taught there for 7 years, and I've spent the last 12 years working in the music education technology field in both customer education and customer success. Here at MusicFirst, I oversee the creation of learning materials and professional development experiences like this one, so you and your teachers and students can succeed with music first. With me here today is also Melissa Hartke, who is our customer support manager. She is handling the back end and logistics of this webinar, helping it run smoothly. Okay, before we dive in, I do want to address a couple of housekeeping items. This session is being recorded and will be shared via email with the registrants after the event. Please know that a self-paced learning path containing courses about each of the software that we will be discussing today exists in the MusicFirst Academy, which you can register for at www.musicfirstacademy.com. You can learn at your own pace and watch many tutorial videos. The chat is enabled for comments in this webinar. However, if you have specific questions that you want us to answer at the end of the session, please put them in the Q&A section at the top of your screen. This is the best way for us to manage and triage questions. Lastly, there will be some polls throughout this webinar for you to interact with. If they don't show up on your screen when enabled, look for them in the chat. Let's begin. Today's session is both for new and experienced teachers. We will start with the tools, then move to ready-made lessons, then building your own assignments, and we'll finish with some classroom activities that you can use in rehearsal tomorrow or next week, whenever it is that you're starting school. You are welcome to submit your questions along the way, and we will answer them at the end. Before we begin, though, here's our first poll. Let us know what type of ensemble you teach. So, Melissa, if you can put that first poll. Thank you. And while you submit your results there, I'm going to move on and come back and check those in a minute to see who you are. Let's talk about what's actually inside what we call the performance bundle, which is the way that we group several different software in the MusicFirst classroom, and why these particular tools were grouped together for ensemble directors. So, as you may be familiar with, MusicFirst is an LMS, learning management system, built by music educators that contains both curriculum and lesson content materials, as well as software tools and applications to help students develop musically. With a single login, teachers and students have access to all the content and tools and their workflows back into one gradebook. The performance bundle, which is, again, the way that we put together a number of software applications, brings together the tools that ensembles use the most. And those tools are MusicFirst for practice and assessment, where students will see notation on screen, they can record against it and then get immediate feedback. Sight Reading Factory, which is a tool that generates unlimited sight reading examples, and it's used to build fluency. Then there's Aurelia and Musician, which are two applications, one for oral skills and the other one for music theory, and they help build literacy. And then lastly, Flat or Note Flight, which are notation tools for composition. We're going to dig into each one of these in section 3 of these slides. So again, as a quick visual recap, these are the applications in the performance bundle. Here you can see them at a glance. You have a single login, and with that login, you have access to the practice assessment tool, MusicFirst, Sight Reading Factory, which is for sight reading, Ear Training and Theory, which are Aurelia and Musician. Those are two separate programs, but they're sister programs. And a notation tool, you're going to choose Flat or Note Flight. All right. So in terms of assignments or tasks for students, at a high level, when you want students to use these tools, you have the following ways to engage them. You have free play, which is when students launch the software themselves from the software tab and they explore on their own. This is not going to be tied to any assignments. This is just free exploration. Then you have template tasks where you give everybody, all the students, the same thing, the same assignment to complete. Then you have specific tasks to target, say, an individual student or an individual section of the music or an individual or an individual group of students. And then there's also generic tasks where you let students pick and choose the parameters. Some scenario examples for these types of tasks include a template for, say, a full ensemble warm-up, a specific task for a struggling section. Let's say your flutes are having trouble with measures 8 to 16 of the composition that you're working, the piece of music you're working with them on. And let's say that you have some students that are high achievers and early finishers of all of the other assignments that you send. You can encourage them to do some free play and exploration. All of these types of tasks, the template, the generic, and the specific tasks are going to require you to use what we call the software task. So keep that in mind. The free play is just them launching the software. All of these other 3, template, specific, and generic tasks, are going to require that you create a task and that task type is the software task. All right, and I see that we have an even split here between band, choir, and orchestra, which is great to see. Typically, that's what we see in webinars, so I'll keep that in mind for when I show some examples. Okay, I'm going to go over to the software right now and show you the software applications very quickly. Okay, you should be seeing my screen. Let me make sure sound shared as well. And right now we are on the teacher side of MusicFirst. Quick navigation, if you haven't been here before, I'm going to make my screen bigger so you can see it. On the top left corner right here, too big, you see the home button, which takes you to the dashboard where we are currently. Then you have the software tab. When I click it, I have more applications available to me right now than you are going to have if you have the performance bundle. The performance bundle includes Aurelia, it includes Musician over here on the right, it includes Flat or Note Flight, one or the other. I have 2. It includes MusicFirst, and it includes Sight Reading Factory. And then the MusicFirst recorder is available for everyone. So this one, this one, this one, and these 2 over here you're not going to have, but the others that I already pointed at, you will have. To access any of these applications, all you have to do is click on it and another tab opens with access to the application. So going back here, let's return to our navigation. Then you have a tab for resources where there's some additional, let's call them apps or resources like a magazine and whatnot. Content is access to the MusicFirst library. My classes will give me access to all of the classes that I have created. And then from here, I can see my user name. I can access support, which is very, very useful here. Notice how you will be able to access the user guide, tutorials, which include many videos, and then the MusicFirst Academy. If you click on this, you're going to be single signed on into our customer education teacher learning application where you can take self-paced courses on all of our software. And then lastly, log out. On the left side, you have some additional navigation, which includes a global create task, a global create button rather, where you can create tasks and other things like lessons, assessments, and units. This is optional, so you may or may not have it enabled on your platform. It's an AI assistant. This is a link to the global calendar, which looks like this. This is your files, wherever you have uploaded or downloaded files, they'll be in here. This is access to grading, and then these bottom two icons, the user management and the settings, are available to you if you are a user admin. If you are not a user admin, then you won't see those icons. Those you're set up as a teacher. So that's kind of a quick navigation and how to launch the software. Again, click software, and then you'll have Aurelia, musician, a notation tool that could be flat or note flight. You will have practice first, and you will have sight reading factory. Okay, I'm going to go back to my slides now. Okay. Now, we also have a library, like I mentioned, and it contains a lot of ready-made lessons. And this is the fastest possible on-ramp for you and for your students when you are using MusicFirst. This way that you don't have to build things from scratch, okay? So getting started lessons exist for each program and can be assigned as is. And I would highly recommend using these in week 1 of your teaching with MusicFirst so that you can teach your students the software itself, and then you can adapt those tasks later. They take under a minute to assign. A very important tip that if you're taking notes, I would highly encourage you to take note of this tip, is making sure that when you're going to assign one of these tasks that is going to include software, you click the configure it in software button. And I'm going to show you that in a minute, so that you can set up the connection between the task and the software correctly and then set the right parameters for the assignment. So I'm going to go back to the software one more time, and I'm going to show you where those getting started with MusicFirst units and lessons and tasks live, so that you know where they are. And so getting back here again. When I go to the content library at the top of my screen, I click content and I click MusicFirst library. I'm going to see that there are several disciplines, right? So since this is for performance ensembles, I really want to highlight the band category, the chorus category, the orchestra category. You can click on any of those to access content relevant to those disciplines. Additionally, we have music theory. This is a good one to keep in mind, especially as you're teaching your students things like note values, duration, intervals, how to read music on the staff, etc. And then there's also these other two that may or may not be relevant for you, as well as MusicFirst assessments. Since I'm an orchestra teacher, I'm going to click the orchestra category. And then when I get here to the library, I'm going to see a lot of content on the left side. And then on the right side, I'm going to see some filters for how to search and browse. Notice that if I want to change categories from here, I can choose from this drop-down menu. I don't have to go back. And then there's something for entering keywords. There's also filters for grade level, the type of content I'm looking for, whether it's a course, a unit, a lesson, or an assessment, and then different topics. If you want to go a little bit deeper on the MusicFirst content library, please check out the relevant courses in the Academy as they explain what each one of these things are. Okay, I'm going to enter the keywords here, getting started. And the very first thing that pops up for me is a unit. So this is going to be a collection of lessons. And it says, getting started with MusicFirst for orchestra. When I click on this title, I can preview what's in the unit. And this unit contains several lessons and assessments. So there's a getting started with MusicFirst for students lesson. There's a quiz. And then there's specific getting started with the different tools lessons, and they include tasks. Okay, so I would really recommend getting started with MusicFirst for students so that they can become familiar with the platform itself, and then later assign some of the software related tasks. When you click on a lesson, you'll be able to see the student view. There's two tabs here on the upper left side, right below the title of the lesson. On the student view, you will see what your students will see. And then on the teacher view, it's what you will see. Now, this is just a preview. When you decide that you want to use this with your students, you're going to go over to the right side and click Use Lesson Now. And then you can either add it to your favorites only, which allows you to reuse it in many different classes, or you can click a class that you've already created where you want to use it and put it in there. I'm just going to add it to my favorites for now. And there it is. Okay. Similarly, if I go to the specific lessons for software, let's say getting started with Sight Reading Factory, here's the student view of the lesson. Here's the teacher view of the lesson. I'm also going to have to use Lesson Now to bring it down to my library. Notice that down at the bottom, there's going to be a task where the student has to perform an exercise in Sight Reading Factory. I'm going to show you a class where I've already done this. So here's a task that has already been set. This is the button I was referring to when I said when you're scheduling a software task, you really need to click this button that says configure in whatever the software is so that it launches that software and then you can set the parameters in there. I'm not going to do it now because I'm going to do it later. I'm going to do the full cycle. This is kind of the overview first before I go show you the actual process. Okay, so going back to presenting from my slides here. And okay, so now we're going to go program by program, starting with Sight Reading Factory. Sight Reading Factory creates unlimited, real, playable music generated on demand, so students never see the same exercise twice. It's going to work on any device, and this is great because it works for take-home practice and one-to-one device programs. When you first launch it, you're going to see that there's an ability to differentiate between the types of ensembles that you're working with. So you'll see a screen like that where you can create sight reading exercises for either the whole ensemble, you can create rhythm only. For the voice family, you can create it for the string family, individual instruments, the woodwinds, the brass, etc. So the takeaway from here is you can create exercises for the entire ensemble, where eventually, if you even want to display them on the screen of your classroom, you can have all of the lines on that screen, or you can create exercises for the individual instruments by choosing either the voice family, the string family, the woodwind family, or the brass family, and then picking the individual instrument from there. So a quick cheat sheet of the Sight Reading Factory functionality is, here are some basic things to remember. Number one, when the software launches, the first thing to do is click the Start Practicing button. Whether that's you, the teacher, setting up something to display on the screen, or for the students to start practicing. It's that Start Practicing button that looks like, that's kind of purple, I guess. Then the next thing you're going to do is choose the instruments, whether it is ensembles, it's rhythm only, or it's a single instrument from one of the families. The next thing is choosing a level or customize the level. So to the right of the Start Practicing, you see an image that says levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then there's a preview of the rhythm values of that level, the rest values of that level as well, and then some of the additional parameters included in there. And the higher the number, the higher the level of difficulty of the exercises that will be generated. Similarly, if you click on custom, you'll have the ability to, again, customize what you want your students to work on. Then you'll select time and key signatures. And then lastly, you'll choose what mode the students will work on, whether it's free play, challenge, auto assessment, or live mode. In terms of free play versus challenge mode, what you'll see is that free play is sort of a low stakes practice with a demo audio preview and no clock. So that means the music will show on screen and students can read the music and play it as they would if they had the sheet music in front of them. So there's no pressure of a time limit. The music is not going to disappear or anything like that. Challenge mode, on the other hand, is going to add a time limit and recording, which mirrors an audition environment. So the music is going to show in front of them. There's going to be a countdown there that you said, say 30 seconds or whatever, for the students to scan the music. And then when that timer runs out, then the student has to play, and then what they play will be recorded. So use the free play for learning, and then the challenge mode for assessment. Some popular Sight Reading Factory uses include rehearsal warm-ups, formative and summative assessments, exit tickets, and also, of course, audition prep. So now I'm going to go back to MusicFirst again and show you this live. In the software, I'm going to click Software and then Sight Reading Factory. I'm going to get to this screen, which is a new tab that opens. And like I mentioned, the first thing I want to click is Start Practicing. With this Start Practicing, I get to choose the instrument or instruments that the exercises are going to be for. So let's say that we are going to create an ensemble sight reading example. And in this case, I want it to be for string orchestra. Let's say it's unison to make it simple, because maybe it is for beginning 6th grade orchestra students. So when I click that, I get to choose then the next level, you know, whether this is level 1, the easiest. You can see the rhythms on the right side. The largest leap is a third, and then there's some ties. Level 2 would include this all the way to level 6. And so let's choose a level 1 example, for example. And then here I get to choose the time signature I want my students to work on. So let's say, again, it's 6th grade beginning orchestra students, and we're just working on 4/4. You have the option to multi-select time signatures or a single one. So in this case, let's just say it's 4/4. And then the next step is to select the key signature. So again, multi-select is enabled right now. It would allow me to choose more than one key signature. If I turn it off, then I just have to select one. My beginning players in 6th grade are going to start in D major, so that's the key I'm going to choose. And then here are the 4 modes that I was talking about. Free play, which is just for practicing and exploration. Challenge is going to be with the timer. Auto assessment is actually going to give them immediate feedback right after they play. And live is going to provide the same music for the whole class. So let's try the free play. And here's what it is. It generated an exercise in unison that is 8 measures long in D major. And it's level 1 in 4/4, so it's only going to include half notes and quarter notes. If I click next, I'm going to get a new exercise and a new exercise and a new exercise, and I'm never going to run out of possibilities, which is wonderful. So I could have the students in class play through this, and after they play, then I can click the play button and have them compare what they did with how it was supposed to sound. And so this is what this sounds like. Etc. Right? So you get the idea. That is the free play mode for Ensemble. Now let's say that I want to do something different here. So I'm going to go back to the beginning and I'm going to select voice family because I teach choir now. And I really want to help my altos get better at singing. So I am going to work with them. Let's say it's also a level, say it's a level 2. And this time I also want to do 4/4. And let's do C major. And this time I'm going to try this auto assessment just to show you what the feedback looks like. When I click this, I have some additional options as to how the cursor is going to move, whether the metronome, I want it on or off. If I want the previous measures to disappear, I'm not going to do any of that just to make it easy right now. And then I click start. And here's my exercise. So I get to see the notation on screen. If I click on the starting note, I get to hear the starting pitch. And then I'm not going to listen to it first, but I'm going to go ahead and sing this. Okay. And it's going to count me down. 2, 3, 4. Do, re, mi, mi, fa, mi, re, do, ti, do, do, re, mi, fa, sol, mi, do. And I do know how to count. I just made those mistakes on purpose so that you could see the feedback. On the right side, I got some badges here because I'm practicing that assessment. So it's going to incentivize me to keep practicing. In the center of the screen now, I am seeing feedback about my singing. So it's telling me I got 97%. Notice that the grading here is set as lenient. So if I change it to moderate, it's going to lower my grade. And if I change it to strict, it's going to lower it even more. Again, for beginners, you probably want to start with the most lenient mode so that students are encouraged and not penalized, because we know that students are very much grade driven. It's going to show me the number of correct notes, the wrong notes, if I missed any notes, if I play them early or late. And so I can see my results here, and there we go. Okay, so this is a great way to incentivize or have students practice and get immediate feedback on their sight reading. All right. because of time constraints, I'm going to move on to the next application. And that is going to be, I believe it's practice first in my slides. Let's see. Yes, effectively, it's practice first. So practice first is the practice accountability tool. It assesses pitch, it assesses rhythm, intonation, and duration, and it's gonna give students instant feedback as well. There's a built-in repertoire and method books library, and it will give you also the ability to upload your own concert music or your own exercises that you've created in notation software that exports to Music XML so that students can practice actual literature. So back to the live demo here. In my software tab, I go over to practice first here on the right. And when I click it, again, a new and separate tab is going to open. And in here, I have some filters for choosing the type of content. Okay, so I could be looking at all state and auditions, band methods, band repertoire, vocal solos, etc. We also have some different series of, like, for example, you're seeing here Standard of Excellence, right? Or Foundations for Superior Performance for you band teachers and whatnot. So here in the series, you can narrow down by publisher, etc. And then here on the right, you can choose your instrument. Again, because I don't have an instrument in front of me right now, I'm going to choose a choral method just because I can badly sing to it. And when I click on it, there's a couple of examples here, like the S Cubed by Dale Duncan, which I understand it's um, a common method book for sight singing that a lot of people use. And when I click on it, I'm going to get to this page, which is going to list all of the different exercises that are available in the book that are also available in Practice First. So when I then click on the exercise, I can see the notation on screen. I have some controls over on the right side, such as play the music that I see. Sound. So there's some MIDI sounds that are going to play back with the music notation. There's a record button so that I can record myself. There's a tuner, la, so that I can see my pitch. There's an option for students to record themselves with video. This is especially useful for band and orchestra teachers and students so that they can see the posture, they can see the embouchure. It's optional. You can set it up in the parameters for the assignment. And then for playback options, there's a demo audio, there's a click track, and then same thing for recording options, click track, follow me, demo audio, show the cursor, or maybe don't show it. So different levels of scaffolding for your students. Because Practice First is a tool for practice and accountability and assessment, again, I'm going to show you what that assessment looks like. It's a little different from what you saw in Sight Reading Factory. Sight Reading Factory was showing colors note by note, and it's just one of the 4 options for sight reading. In Practice First, instead of having every note colored as feedback, you're going to see a wiggly line down below the staff that is going to color accordingly to the performance. So let me hear this first note, or maybe I can't. I'll just hit record here. Do, do, re, mi, re, mi, re, do, do, di, do. And again, I made some mistakes on purpose. So it's telling me that I got a 90% pitch score and a 99% timing score. I can save that attempt, I can retry, and I certainly can go listen. So if I say listen, it's going to play it back here. Go, etc. And then this is the line that I was referring to. So green indicates that it was correct. Then it's telling me, oh, there was some unexpected pause in the beginning. The yellow is telling me you're flat or you're sharp. And then here, I sang the wrong note. And then here there's a timing error. This was too long. I ate that rest. So that's a little bit of the type of feedback that your students are going to get. When you're sending assignments from Practice First, you can set up the number of measures that you want your students to practice. So this is really useful for honing in on specific measures where the students are having a little bit of difficulty. Okay, back to the slides. The next tool I'm going to show is going to be, I believe, Aurelia and Musician, which are the tools for music theory and musicianship. So these two tools cover their sister software, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, and they cover both ear training and music theory. There's a custom syllabus feature that lets you sequence topics to match your curriculum. And every topic that you will see in the software has a lessons module that teaches the concept before students practice it. So this can run independently. I'm going to show you a couple of different things in these two software, which are tuning and note value recognition. But I remember that I also had another poll that we didn't launch yet. Melissa, can you run that poll to see what was the title of the poll? I forget.
What tools in the performance bundle do you already use?
There you go. So thank you. Yes, let us know which of these tools you're already using. In the meantime, while you work on submitting your answer here, I'm going to go over one more time to MusicFirst and launch Aurelia and Musician here so that you can see what those two look like, and specifically show you a couple of exercises that I think are very relevant to performance ensembles. So here we are again, MusicFirst. Reminder, you go to software and then launch your application. Let's go to Aurelia. So in a separate tab, I'm gonna get here. It's probably gonna get to my dashboard where I can see some progress of things that my students have been practicing. But if I wanna go to Aurelia, look at the top, this black bar at the very top of the screen. It says Aurelia. Like I mentioned, there's sister software, so you can navigate from one to the other from within the same screen. So if you click Aurelia, this is the syllabus for introductory. There's also a beginner and an intermediate, and there's actually a band and an orchestra beginner syllabus or syllabi, where I believe there's even fingerings. So this would be really useful for complementing your teaching in the classroom. But getting back here to the introductory, okay? You have categories and topics within the category. So in intervals and scales, you have interval comparison, interval recognition, scales, tonality, then pitch and melody, chords, harmony and form, musical elements, and rhythm. Tuning, I think, is a really helpful category for, especially for our beginning band and orchestra students, to help them recognize when they're flat or sharp. So there's 3 levels here of difficult, well, 5 levels of difficulty really, where the how sharp or flat the notes are is going to get narrower, I guess. So in level 1, the tuning discrepancy will be 40 cents, and it looks something like this. Let me try that again with sound. So it's going to play two notes, and then it's asking me, is the second note sharp or flat? I believe it was sharp. Yes. Then the next one. This one was sharp as well, but I'm going to say it was flat to see what kind of feedback I get. And it says, do you wish to try again? Oh, okay, let me try again. Oh, no, it was sharp. Okay. Oh, yes, now you have the correct answer, and so on and so forth. And I can always play back the question so that I can check myself. Similarly, in musician here, changing to the music theory section, we have things like note reading, advanced note reading, intervals, scales, solfege, singing, stem direction, all of those under pitch. Then you have instruments for instrument recognition, clef transposition, piano keyboard. Then you have rhythm, you have terms and symbols, you have harmony, and you have some general knowledge. So in here, let's say something like key signatures, right? We need to start learning our key signatures so that when we play correctly. So let's look at, for example, major only. Enter the key signature of C major. Okay, I don't have to grab any accidentals because C major doesn't have any. So this is correct as is. I'm going to click submit. The next one, enter the key signature of G major. So I'm going to grab my sharp or click the sharp and I'm going to put it where it belongs. Right here. Correct. Which key has this key signature? It's going to be C major, but I'm going to give the wrong answer here to get some feedback. I'm going to say E minor. Wish to try again? Yes, C major. Okay. And now F major, I'm going to grab my flat. I'm going to put it here to enter my correct key signature. So that's how that works. In terms of practicing. And again, students can launch this independently to practice, or you can assign something specific to them, which we're going to look at in a couple of minutes. All right, let me exit here. The last software that we have is the notation software. And like I mentioned before, there are a couple of different options, and your package is going to have one or the other, depending on what you chose. So there's Note Flight Learn, and then there's Flat for Education. Note Flight Learn is strong for composition, live audio recording into the score, and then also it has a score library, meaning you can access some scores that are available in there already, whether it is for practicing or maybe even for arranging. Flat for education, it emphasizes real-time collaboration, so you could have collaborative composition, for example. It also has some built-in theory worksheets, and it has in-score feedback. And so, like I mentioned before, districts or teachers, if you're buying at the classroom level, typically pick one or the other based on the workflow. So let's take a look at the results of the poll. Okay, so you all are using Sight Reading Factory. That's the one that you're already using. So hopefully this webinar is helpful in demonstrating some of the other options that are available in your package and giving you some ideas for how you might use them in the classroom. I'm going to skip this one because we're running short on time, and there's a few things I would still want to cover regarding assignments and classroom strategies. And then if you have questions, I want to be able to answer them. So let's move on to creating assignments. So now I'm going to walk you through a full assignment loop. I'm going to grab one of those getting started tasks or units from the library. I'm going to configure it in the software. I'm going to assign it to students or a section of students. And then I'm going to show you what a completed assignment looks like and how the grading flows back automatically. So this is where the time saving comes from. Back to software. Okay, so back in the software, Remember when at the very beginning I showed you that you went to the content library, you search for getting started. It turns out I had already saved one of those getting started units into my content. So I'm just going to go straight to my content and find it. And here it is. This is the first one because I already done it, right? So I'm going to click it. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to schedule it. Here's the student view. Here's the teacher view. And then eventually I'll see the recording and grading in here. So I am going to schedule it. So over on the right side, I'm going to say the start date of this is here today. I'm going to make it visible to students. I'm going to update this. And now it's on the calendar. So I think I put it in the right class. Did I not? We'll find out. So I'm going to go to I'm gonna go to this demo class, getting started. It's right here. Okay, so it's in my demo class. I'm scrolling down to this section called on categorized. This is it, I believe. I'm gonna grab it. I thought I'd schedule it, but maybe I didn't. I'm gonna make it visible again. It starts today. I'm gonna click on it. All right. And then I am going to see the teacher, student view, submissions and grading. Okay. Here in submissions and grading, here's the record something. And because it's tied to, in this case, the MusicFirst recorder, which is one of the pieces of software, I have to click this configure in MusicFirst recorder button. Each software is going to have a slightly different workflow, but all of them, you have to click that configure in software. So for the MusicFirst recorder, I just have to click it, decide which of these options I want enabled. In this case, it said just record something, so it doesn't matter if I have metronome or anything else. And now it's set up and I can close it. I can close the tab, and this task is scheduled correctly for my students. Okay, I'm going to grab another task that I have in here for, let's say, a sight reading task. Let's see. Okay, so here's a site. It's getting started with Aurelia, which is going to have an Aurelia task. I'm going to grab it, click on it. I'm going to make it visible. Schedule it today. Visible to students. Click update. Okay, so now it's visible. When I click on it, I'm going to configure this in Aurelia. And then in here, I have to select what it is that I am assigning to them. So in this case, let's say it's band beginner, and I want to assign them symbols and note reading. So I'm going to click from the syllabus what I want to assign, and then I'm going to click attach. And then I'm done. I can exit here, and this assignment is configured. If I am a student, this is the student view. Notice how my navigation bar is black at the top instead of this light gray or blue color. So this is the teacher side. This is the student side. I'm going to see my assignments listed here. And that getting started with Aurelia, for example, is right here. I have one task that I have to do, Aurelia interval comparison. When I click on the task to see it, I'm going to open it in Aurelia. Here we go, open it in Aurelia. It's going to take me specifically to the exercise that my teacher set up for me where I can do it. And I would select the voice type, etc., or the instrument so I can do it correctly. I'm going to exit out of here and show you the cooking show version where the gradebook already has some submissions just because we're running short on time. But that's the student experience. So when I go back to the teacher, let's go here to some examples that I already have submitted. Okay, so here's an Aurelia task that has some submissions. It's Aurelia tuning task. When I click on it, I can see the students that the task was assigned to. I can see when they submitted their assignment, and I can see the grade, which passed through automatically because Aurelia and Musician, they both grade the software automatically. So if I want to see the detail, I would just click on the submission. Only tests can be reviewed. Okay. Not sure what happened here, but technically I'm supposed to see their submissions. Let me pull another example. Let's say it was a sight reading task. So here's another one that has been submitted. Let's look at it. So here's a sight reading assignment that was sent to a student, and this is how they performed. And that was an automatic grade of 99%. Again, that was lenient. If I were to change it to moderate or to strict, the grade would change. But because it was lenient and it was saved, then in my grade book, it showed up as 99%. Okay, so that's kind of the full loop of how you would schedule an assignment, how the student would see it on their side, and the way it comes back to the grade book. So now let's begin to wrap all of this up and talk about a few potential classroom strategies that you might want to consider as you use the software with your students. Okay, so I have a lot of sight reading activity ideas in here. These have been field tested by directors, and they don't require a whole lot of preparation beyond generating the exercises. So if you want to take some pictures of the next few slides so you can have them available for later, you're welcome to do so. So you can pick a sight reading theme week. Let's say this week we are reading exercises in 6/8 all week long, right? Or we're reading in cut time, or the key signature of the week is E major, whatever it may be. And then you have exercises that either you read in class with the students every day using that theme, or there's assignments that you send. And then maybe at the end of the week, you have a challenge to see how much they've progressed throughout the week. Another sight reading activity that you could do with your students is like a sight reading battle royale, so where you divide your students into groups, and then you could create the brackets and you make it a little friendly competition to see how they perform kind of against each other, and then you may have a prize at the end or some other way to incentivize it. This makes it fun and competitive. Another thing that you can do is create a sight reading bingo card where students have to mark in the card all of the different musical elements that are going to be showing up in the sight reading exercises that you create. Make sure, of course, that you have included in your parameters all of those things. They're going to show up randomly as they go through exercises. And then here's another one, a sight reading change. So this is a one where you could put like an entire ensemble on screen, and you assign a group of students to play either one measure at a time or two measures at a time. And everybody else needs to be paying close attention, because at the end of the assigned two measures, somebody else is going to have to jump in the right spot and play what's on screen. So this keeps them really engaged, even if a single person is playing at the time. And then here you could do like a sight reading last student standing. So you have everyone standing. This would probably not work necessarily too well for string orchestra. I mean, it would work for the violins and the violas, but not for the cellos because they're already sitting. But it could work well for your band students or your choir students. So you have everybody standing. Then you create a unison ensemble exercise. Everybody performs it together. When someone makes a mistake, then they have to sit down or stop performing. And then you generate more and more and more until you have a single student standing. And then there's also a showdown, and well, there's a whole bunch more, but we're getting close to the end. So in terms of notation, which I know I didn't really show you the software there because we were running short on time, but some ideas are music theory worksheets. They're provided in flat, or you could have them compose short melodies where you set some of the parameters or do like a Bach invention project. And then these are more advanced, serialism or Young Composers Club. So to close, save time while creating more meaningful musical growth. That's what these tools are built for. This is the end of the content that I wanted to share with you, but I want to make sure that I leave a few minutes for questions. So if you have some questions that have popped up throughout, Melissa, can you let me know what those are?
Looks like we don't have any questions.
All right. Well, then, thank you so much for attending this morning. If you have a minute to scan this QR code and give us some feedback and let us know how we did in this webinar and what you might want us to consider for improvements for next time, we would greatly appreciate it. Have a great day and a wonderful school year. Thank you so much.